Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. I wish, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. You can always catch all the coolest wrestling factoids and all the action inside and outside of the ring. Eric pulls back the curtain, see what's behind the curtain, talk about professional wrestling superstars, certain rumors, storylines projected, just drama, just which is the reason why people are absolutely in love with professional wrestling. So, hope you guys had an amazing Thursday. We're almost there. Tomorrow is Friday. So make sure you're tuned into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast on the GSMC Sports Network once again at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a lot on tap for you today. We have a great show. Segment one, we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. We're going to review that. We're going to preview my Thursday Night Wrestling, which is Ring of Honor and also, TNA Impact. And then we're going to talk about Sasha Banks reflecting on her time with WWE, the good, the bad, the ugly, what she kind of expects from AEW, you know, as compared to WWE. Fourth segment, I got hot seat cool beans for you guys. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite Forbidden Door. I'm going to give you guys the superstars that are going to be in that pay-per-view. Going to say, hey, if the seat is hot, that means they need to do something. If it's cool, that means even if they win or lose, I don't really see their kind of storyline or their progression or their character kind of change, at all, or, if any. And our fifth and final segment, we're going to end like we do every Thursday. My Thursday superstar spotlight is going to be today, John Cena. We talked about, on Tuesday, today in wrestling history. And today's the 27th, so it was the 25th, where John Cena in 2002 made his debut at WWE SmackDown against Kurt Angle. And of course, that made waves, obviously, waves big enough for him to become probably the most interesting man in the world, John Cena. So, we're going to talk about that. Well, before we move on, before we do anything, of that nature, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your questions, comments, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. It really does help the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button, and also follow the show and the GSMC Network. Again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So we're going to talk about our first segment. We have AEW Dynamite review. All in all, it was pretty good. I guess ratings are, sky high. They've increased from a Collision, also Rampage, and also last week on Dynamite. So that's good news for AEW. Definitely love that. So the show started off with, of course, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. The moment he came out, the moment he opened up his mouth, then he saw Daniel Garcia, the Buffalo hometown boy. Of course, you saw, AEW. It was in Buffalo, the hometown of, Daniel Garcia. So, then you had a confrontation between the two. They stared face to face. Garcia and MJF honestly have a lot in common. And I guess, and both superstars kind of, they see that, they understand that they're, once again, they're not the tallest, superstars, but they can still throw some grime here. They can still be a dog in a big fight. It's not the size of the fight and the dog. And it's something like I totally, it's the size of the fight and the dog. I can't say it word for word. It was actually pretty badass that MJF said that, but sucks I can't. My memory's not that good. So MJF offered to fight Garcia at Wembley Stadium at All In, because the last time they fought, it was for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and Daniel Garcia wasn't that developed yet. He wasn't really that confident in himself. So, the match was kind of lux. It was an easy win for MJF. But now, Daniel Garcia, he's worked his butt off. He's becoming one of the top tier superstars in terms of AEW. He's definitely the future. And MJF knows that. And he definitely, acknowledged it. He told Daniel, like, hey, honestly, you're doing a really, really good job. You're doing a really, really good job. Out of all the people in the locker room that probably could eventually beat me, it probably could be you. So, definitely love throwing flowers to the hometown boy in Buffalo, Daniel Garcia. But of course, MJF interrupted by Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay coming out. She absolutely, he looked so excited to just take the MJF spotlight. It was kind of crazy the way kind of, I was like, what is he doing out here? But Will Ospreay, he's welcome anywhere in terms of, All Elite Wrestling. He's the aerial assassin. So I wasn't really mad. Will Ospreay's pretty badass. So basically he interrupted MJF and he gave Daniel Garcia a shot at the AEW International Championship on next week on Dynamite. So that, he also offered up the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, saying that, basically he's going to sweeten the deal, basically, showing Swerve that he's not afraid of him, that he's going to beat him. Strickland can't hold on to the AEW World Heavyweight Championship because Will Ospreay is a huge juggernaut. And he, to his point, Will Ospreay is really, really damn good. This will definitely be probably the best test for Swerve Strickland in this title reign to see if he can actually prove all the naysayers wrong. Like he did fight Christian, and I think he defended his title against somebody else. I can't think of it right now. But so far so good. He beat Samoa Joe. Took him 2 times, but obviously, the first time he lost, it was a triple threat match with the Hangman Adam Page. Kind of messing it up. So a lot of good stuff happening with Will Ospreay. Offered Daniel Garcia a shot at the international championship on Dynamite, so it should be interesting to find out what happens at Forbidden Door. Next, we have the Blackpool Combat Club against the Lij. The match was going really, really slow. It took about 2 commercial breaks and picture in picture. And it got to the point where Jon Moxley, being Jon Moxley, being the wild thing that he is, grabs a chair and then all hell breaks loose. Kind of crazy, but there was never really a deciding winner in terms of that. You did see the leader of the Lij, Katsuyori Naito, confront the IWGP champion Jon Moxley in the ring, wanting just kind of freak him out. Just be like, hey, like, are you looking forward to Forbidden Door like I am? Better focus. Better focus. Obviously, this match was kind of a way to kind of soften up, Jon Moxley, the IWGP champion. But, it's going to take a lot more than that to slow down the Wild thing. Just saying. Also, we saw Switchblade Jay White defeat Ray Fenix. So Jay White moves on with the Owen Hart Cup. Patriarchy came out to confront the Bang Bang Gang, which was actually kind of interesting and kind of crazy to see because you see like these two, heel factions come out and like press each other. And basically, the Bang Bang Gang are the trios champion in AEW. Also, they are the 6-man champion in Ring of Honor. They're, double the champion. They're holding double the gold and they have all the gold, so, that's going to be definitely perhaps a future match between Christian Cage and Jay White, which would be awesome. And in my honest opinion, I feel like Christian, you know, is kind of reminded of himself self about, how Jay White is. And I see that. I can see how Christian Cage is kind of reflected within Jay White, just the way just the way he is. You can't trust Jay White, the Switchblade Jay White. He's one hell of an athlete. He can, get on the top rope. He's not one of the best, people in terms of, getting along with the crowd and stuff like that. He's kind of out there to get his own. And in recent years, of course, after the Edge and Christian thing in WWE, WWF, you kind of saw Christian Cage kind of be that Switchblade Jay White just to kind of make a name for himself. So I think he sees a lot of him inside Jay, and he wants to find out about it. So it should be pretty interesting to find out. Next, we have the Acclaim challenge the Elite. So we're gonna have a 3-on-3 at Forbidden Door. No, I think is it gonna be at Forbidden Door? No, I think they're fighting for the tag team championships, or I don't know if that was quite. Don't quote me on that. But the Acclaimed recently in a proving ground match defeated the Young Bucks. Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. I like the Acclaimed. I definitely like the Acclaimed. Right now, I feel like the Young Bucks are kind of like I feel like they're kind of declining, but they need a huge win. They need a huge win. If they beat these guys fair and square, obviously, Kazuchika Okada will be, the Rainmaker. the AEW Continental Champion will be knocking on the door. Obviously in the back you have Jack Perry as well from the EVPs. So, only time will tell. Only time will tell. And then, of course, you had, Matthew or Nicholas Jackson. I still get them kind of confused. Uh, announced that during the Owen Hart Cup, there's going to be a wild card. There's going to be a wild card, and they're going to bring the title back to the EVPs. My guess, it might be the Hangman, Adam Page. That's probably the thing that makes the most sense. Other than that, I can't really put, my finger on it, but it should be interesting to find out who Jeff Jarrett fight. I think he's fighting, I think it's Rampage. I think it's on Rampage. Um, Moving on, we saw Toni Storm, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa defeat Anna Jay and the Outcast. After the match, you had a little bit of a drama. You had Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa, and also Mariah May toasting. When you saw Toni Storm to her back to Shirakawa, she was dancing with Mariah May, and then she ducked. Mina, had the champagne bottle and smashed it across Mariah May. Poor Mariah May. That's crazy. I feel, out of all this, baggage between the Toni Storm and Shirakawa, I think she's not good. The biggest, she's taking the biggest hurt here. She got, a glass to the head. She's also going to have to choose probably, at Forbidden Door, who she wants to represent, who she wants to be with. So, be with, so to speak, as, friends. I don't, honestly, at this point, I don't really know. I know AEW, kind of on that PG-13. So, I, can't. Let's move on. That's the perfect time to move on. Rapidly finishing this up, we have Mercedes Moné basically telling Stephanie Bakura that she wants to be the New Japan Strong Women's Champion. Obviously, right now, she is the AEW TBS Champion, but this title means so much to Mercedes Moné. It means so much. This was the match that she was fighting Willow Nightingale and couldn't win, mostly because of what happened when she got pushed off the top rope and landed on her foot, breaking it in like I think 2 places or whatever. So this title means a lot. I don't want to say it means a lot to her more than the TBS championship. Obviously this is a winner take all kind of thing. I feel like you kind of still need both championships on each brand. So I think this match is going to end with maybe an interference or something like that. That's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me. So next we have the Learning Tree come out. You have them confronted with Samoa Joe, like Katsuyori Shibata, also Hook. They're obviously they had a promo heading toward Forbidden Door. Next you see Kyle O'Reilly losing to Zack Sabre Jr. Kyle O'Reilly, man, I feel bad for him because he keeps on losing. I feel like AEW needs to kind of put this guy in the winners column sooner rather than later because he has so much momentum from the crowd, from his stint with the Undisputed Kingdom. So I don't know. Hopefully, I don't want to see Kyle O'Reilly make it back to the Undisputed Kingdom. In my opinion, I kind of love him showing his personality, kind of being that underdog guy that everybody loves. He's kind of like that baby face. So Kyle O'Reilly, definitely hope he does not join the Undisputed Kingdom. All right, lastly, in the main event, we have Swerve Strickland teaming up with Will Ospreay against the Gates of Agony. Swerve Strickland really wanted this one because he was part of the Gates of Agony when he was with the Mogul Embassy. The Mogul Embassy was a little, rotten. They were a little upset that when Swerve became the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, he kind of, disregarded the gang and kind of blackballed them, in a way. Like, didn't really mention them, didn't really acknowledge them helping, the support, nada. So that could also reflect on Swerve. But the match, the show ended with Swerve Strickland standing on top. Will Ospreay knocked out after getting kicked in the head by the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Can't wait to watch Forbidden Door. Definitely going to be awesome. We're going to review it, thoroughly tomorrow. Today we are going to move on. We're going to move on to our Thursday night wrestling preview. We take a step into the ring of TNA Impact and also Ring of Honor. So hey, do not go anywhere.